Oh, hello. Welcome to another video. This is Kill Team Shower Thoughts, the regular series where I muse on something reasonably random, occasionally topical, often related to Kill Team. Today we're thinking about the use of chess clocks in games of Kill Team. So YouTube is weird, and sometimes ideas seem to bubble up out of almost nowhere. So I have been watching Turning Point Tactics, great channel, you should give them a subscribe. And they were talking about chess clocks in Kill Team in one of their recent videos. And then while this one was kind of ruminating, I was kind of thinking about how I wanted to frame my thoughts on the subject. I think Glass Half Dead has, or will soon. I'm on his Patreon, so I think I've seen this one before, but he's made a video about chess clocks. So I thought, well, if everybody's making a video about chess clocks, I better make a video about chess clocks. Opinions are divided on the subject, which is to say that all the other YouTubers that I've ever known that have spoken about the subject are very much in favour of chess clocks. And I'm not. So maybe this is a video reply. If you're really old, as in your sort of mid to late 30s, you remember that you used to be able to leave a video reply on. So if you saw a YouTube video, in the comments you had a button you could press to leave your own video in reply to that video, and you could make a chain of Obviously they removed that, right? But maybe that's what this is. I don't enjoy the feeling of being rushed by a time limit. I know that some people do. There are time attack modes on video games. Like, yes, you can beat Sonic the Hedgehog, but can you beat Sonic the Hedgehog in a really, really, really speedy fashion? I don't care. Not only do I sort of naturally know, I don't care is too passive a statement. I have an active dislike for adding on a feeling of a time limit to something that's otherwise enjoyable. It takes something that I'm enjoying and it turns the whole thing into an ordeal. The feeling of the ticking clock, I find it so stressful that I'm no longer enjoying any part of the activity while I'm even doing it. Now, I know that some people like to do stressful things for fun, because I understand the concept of, well, it's stressful while you're doing it, but then it's exhilarating when you get to the end. I understand that that's a feature of humanity for some people. Some people like to go mountain climbing or swim in icy water. In fact, I have a friend who likes to do these things, and whenever she even talks about her exploits on a Discord we're in, I sort of feel anxious that somebody's going to think that this is normal and they're going to come and force me to do them, because I like to sit quietly and paint toy soldiers, right? If you like to do stressful things because you like the boost you get for having done them, I'm not trying to take that away from you. Just putting the alternate view out there. That just because you think something's amazing doesn't mean that you should campaign to inflict it on everybody. That's basically my point here. I find a ticking timer really oppressive. Being slightly hyperbolic with this last sentence, these activities are not enhanced by constantly ticking memento mori. Like, actually, I try and practice a little bit of Stoic philosophy. Memento mori can be a really useful thing, but I don't want, while I'm trying to unwind and play a game, like a constant. I just find that extremely bothersome. I'm not actually sure what problem the chess clock advocates are trying to solve. So, wow, world. You get 2 hours to play a game of Kill Team in. And then, after every game of Kill Team, you've got a break of at least half an hour. And nobody actually cares if your game goes over into the break by like 10 minutes. And I've never had a game get called to time at WoW World, where so far I've played all my competitive events, except once. In the very first tournament, against one player with Vet Guard. I thought he was just sort of nervous. I know that Kryak played against him, and in his tournament review, he was certain he was like deliberately slow playing, and so maybe maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But apart from that one erroneous data point, it's not a thing. Now, I'm about to go to my first in December. I'm going to go to my first independent event, and I went and looked at the thing, and yeah, the rounds are only an hour and a half, and there's only a 15-minute gap, and there's not actually a scheduled break between rounds 1 and 2 and rounds 3 and 4. They have there's a 15-minute transition time, but there's not like time to go and get a coffee. So maybe if I go to an independent event, I will come out fully seized for the idea that actually, sometimes people do come into that time limit zone, and it is a bit touch and go as to whether the game will finish. I get you. And that's a choice, to run your event on a tight schedule and not start an hour earlier or open an hour later or whatever else you could do. And chess clocks, if your problem is, this is the time that we have and we need to get this many games of Kill Team in, then chess clocks are a way to solve that problem. Other ways to solve that problem are reduce the number of games of Kill Team that you want to have, or increase the amount of time you have available to you. And I suppose it's down to tournament organisers and the kind of game that they want to run, and the kind of people they want to attract to the game, to kind of square that circle of how many games do we want to have, how much time do we want to allow per game, how long can we get the venue for, how long do we want the event to be, what kind of breaks do we want to have. I don't think anybody can realistically say to me that if you have a Warhammer World schedule, you need a chess clock. Chess clocks aren't solving that problem. So maybe if you need a chess clock, you haven't given enough time for your game of Kill Team. If the vibe of your event is you've got enough time to play a game, if you really hustle and you both know what you're doing, then that's fine and absolutely fine. But you're not making your event appeal as to the broadest spectrum of humanity as it could do, right? You're intrinsically saying, well, no, this isn't an event for beginners. This is an event for people who are intermediate or master or whatever you want to call it, right? So the event organizer chooses the tone for their event. Chess clocks are definitely a lever that they can pull, but so is changing the round time, and so is changing the number of rounds, so is changing when they... Well, I admit, depending on the venue, you might not have the luxury of being able to say, oh yeah, well, we open at 8 and we have a 12 hour... at Warhammer World, they have the full 12 hours they can play with from 8 to 8 if they really want to, so... I'm aware there's other factors, but the point is, it's a choice. It's a choice, isn't it? It's a choice that is made. Let's not dance around the issue. I'm not very good at Kill Team. Famously, in fact, at my last Warhammer World event, I was the only person to go 6 losses. Even good old Matt Buckley there, in the second last place, managed to get 2 draws. Channel member, friend of the channel, Matt Godlington, got 1 win against me. I'm mad. So I'm already kind of thinking about trying to play the best game of Kill Team I can. Obviously, it's not coming as easily to me as it might be coming to people who are not 58th out of 58, right? And so the constantly ticking clock there is going to give me another thing to worry about, right? So maybe if you're a player at the top table, you're already a master of the craft of Kill Team, adding another thing to worry about, that's not a huge problem, is it, right? And so if you wanted to run a tournament, I think this is one of the things Turning Point Tactics was saying, if you want to run a tournament and be like, oh, well, on day 2, we'll have a top 16 cut, and then for those top 16, we'll enforce chess clocks. Filly boots, right? I'm sure for the people that will be there in a top 16 cut after a 4-round tournament, it's not a problem, is it? Because they're already good enough at Kill Team to go, oh, well, there's a clock here ticking at me. I'll just I'll deal with that. I'll roll with that because I'm not really expending that much of my brain power worrying about, do I want to use a CP reroll on this dice, because I already have that algorithm down to such a finely crafted thing. Like I've played all these maps thousands of times. I've got lots of reps in on all the map pack maps. I've got lots of reps in on Into the Dark, and I'm razor sharp on all my rules, and I intuitively understand the line of sight, and I can intuitively see what's going to be obscured, and all those things allow you to then have your focus. If you've got all those things down, that allows you to have your focus shifted onto the ticking clock. But if you're still, as I am, right, if you're still kind of, is that obscured? I'm not sure. I'm going to have to come and have a look at that. Or Into the Dark. How exactly does the guard action work again? Matt, let's look it up in the book. And no, that's what that does. Okay, so I can't shoot him when he's running across that. No, that's fine. That's cool. I understand. Thank you. That's the character of the game I'm playing. Is that going to be enhanced by a clock? If I ask my opponent how the guard action works, that's not an interaction that really meshes well with the cutthroat mechanics of the chess clock, right? I mean, do you see my point? So, I'm really worried about the situation where chess clocks become normalised for everyone, and I realise that is a outlier position that only the most hardened chess clock sort of the pro chess clock can have, but I understand. It's like the people who paint really well and say, two brush blending should be a beginner technique, because if you learn how to paint a certain way and you learn how to paint badly, then you have to kind of unlearn things in order to learn the better way to paint. It's the same with computer programming, right? Which is what I teach programming for a living, but I don't do object-oriented programming, and a friend of mine who works in the industry has been like, well, utterly pointless, should do object-oriented first, otherwise the kids are just going to have to unlearn stuff that they've learned to come back in and learn how OOP works. And so I kind of do understand where you're coming from. It's like, well, if chess clocks are just part of the game from day one, then it's not a new thing to worry about, it's just part of the game, and that will be... But friends, that train has sailed. Friends, we've been playing for 2 and a bit years without chess clocks quite happily, and I'm not yet mastering all the other bits and pieces in the game, so don't perhaps need the chess clock layering on top. Just thoughts. What's it going to do to the meta? So generally speaking, we haven't got up to date top of the line stats, because I understand that the hot sauce Teddy, who makes all the stats that then are reported on by other big channels, usually Can You Roll a Crit does a really breakdown video on all the stats, and the one I'm always really interested in is actually just the pick rate. Elite teams generally, though, at least last time I saw some stats, elite teams were dominating in terms of the pick rate. Intercession still very much at the top, and that's... If you're going to normalise chess clocks, and if you're going to say, everyone's going to use a chess clock, and I'm a little bit unsure of myself to think I want to take Legionaries or Vet Guard, right? Because just physically, I'm going to be less worried of a time if I've got an elite team. Now, actually, I've been playing an elite team recently. Elite teams are a hell of a drug, right? I play so much better with an elite team than this could be a whole separate video, live stream, rant, whatever you want, but oh my gosh, right? I like the fluff and the feel and the theme of Imperial teams, human teams like Novitiates and Kazakin and Star Striders, and those kinds of things are my jam. But something about playing Space Marines, it's like playing the game on easy mode. I still don't beat Zimbab, but I come closer, right? And so Pori really wants to try more elite teams and find the best one, but the received wisdom is, and I know there are exceptions, but the received wisdom is, you can play to a decent level with an elite team and come mid in the results, right? But all the really top players, and I know Ace recently won Warhammer World with Phobos, which kind of shows the lie to what I'm about to say, but I'm generally, all the really good players who knows his ace? He's also won the LGT with Hearthkin, right? That are supposed to be the worst team going. So, but in general, people say, oh yes, the 10 plus model teams are better if you're very good and you can play them very well. You will win. You know, someone who is amazing with a higher model count team will win against somebody with an elite team who's of an equal skill level, is something that's generally believed. Whereas if you have two people at a skill level of 9 out of 10, and I don't know if this is true, this is what's genuinely believed though, right? Correct me in the comments. If you have two people that are playing at skill level 9, the non-elite team wins. And if you have two people that are playing at skill level 4, the elite team wins. Is generally, I think, what's believed. I don't know if it's true, but that's generally what's believed. So if chess clocks become a general expectation, it just pushes more people who are a bit more anxious into that non-elite team, into that elite team kind of bracket, because there's physically less models to pick up and move. And that's to say nothing of people that might be a bit slower because maybe they have a disability, maybe they can't manipulate the things as quickly and stuff like that. So it's just stressful. This is gonna, first of all, I hope that Turning Point Tactics and Glass Half Dead don't feel that I'm coming at them. I'm just, it is a little bit of a response to those couple of videos. And I think other people in the past, I think Crit in the past has probably done a pro chess clocks video. I don't recall ever hearing a YouTuber come out against chess clocks, actually. I hope none of these people think that I'm starting beef, as the kids would say. No, kids don't even say that anymore. But, I don't want to commence an argy-bargy. I just want to put my own thoughts forward. I've never played a game using a chess clock, and I totally understand that the first thing people will say is, oh, well, you're scared of the idea, but you simply must try it. Understood. But I have precious little time to play Kill Team. I get one a week in on a Friday night if both me and Zimbad feel up to it, and then there's tournaments, and that's it, right? So just like, we messed around recently and played do you remember the White Dwarf with the cards? And we played with those, and it was a rubbish game, and we were like, well, we both kind of felt afterwards like, oh, that was a Friday wasted. We could have played a normal game and had more fun. Whoops. So it's like, I have to get a check. I don't have to buy, and people don't even use. It's just that when I think of a chess clock, this is what I think of, with the little brass buttons on the top and the little flag and the lever. I'm aware that digital or on a phone or all the other things. Yeah. And we could just do it and could just see. And I have a feeling like it would be this whole extra thing, and we get halfway through and somebody would just forget to push the thing. So what's it adding? What does it add? Nothing. What does it add? Just another thing to worry about. But maybe you've played a game with chess clocks and you found it really enhanced your game in some way or another, and you want to come and make the case in the comments. Yeah, absolutely, please do. Tell me I'm wrong. Feel able to tell me I'm wrong. It's not. I'm not a made of glass, right? I'm not gonna shatter the first negative wave that comes my way. But I don't like the idea of chess clocks. And I don't see, I don't like the idea of vegetables and exercise either. But people can at least explain to me, well, you don't like those things, but here's the benefit you get if you do them. I don't like the idea of having to separate my rubbish and do the recycling, but people can explain to me, well, here's the thing that you get if you do that. I don't like the idea of chess clocks, and people are like, oh, well, it's an antidote to slow play. And I'm like, well, I haven't really experienced slow play. Well, where's all this slow play at? Maybe when I go to my first independent tournament. Maybe I'll experience slow play. Maybe people are out there trying to play a game of Kill Team in an hour. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'll see you guys on Tuesday for the live stream. I'm sure we can talk about this some more. Every time I make a controversial video, I try and revisit it in one of the chat topics in the live stream. If you like the video, please like it. If you didn't like the video, press the dislike button. Don't just wander off and go, oh, he's full of rubbish. He doesn't know casual. Press the dislike button. Let me know. It's not a problem. Yeah, I don't take it personally. If someone was monomaniacally disliking every single video because they didn't like my stupid face, that would be upsetting. But if I've said something daft in one video and you dislike it, and I look at the dashboard and go, oh, this particular video has more dislikes, that's actually useful information. It's not hurt feelings. You can use it's allowed. A comment's better because then I know why, but it's allowed. Please subscribe if you haven't. If you enjoy this style of irreverent, rambly, bambly content, then subscriptions make the positive chemicals come out of my brain. Number goes up. Big number good. And of course, a shout out to Mr. Nightfall, who is a channel member, who at the highest tier, and is therefore entitled to a personalised thank you at the end of every single video. If you have too much money and you would like my personalised thanks at the end of every video, then that option is there for you as well. Or you could become a member at one of the other two tiers, and for a very, very modest amount of money, you could get access to, the video on demand of all the live streams, a couple of exclusive members-only videos, occasional early videos, and a secret Discord room where we talk about total rubbish. Right, well, bye-bye, thank you, and I'll see you on Tuesday for the live stream. Bye-bye-bye.